Welcome, dear friends. Here we are, 15 Cases of Past Lives. Based on the book by Amália Domingo Soler, 15 Casos de Vidas Passadas. Translated from Spanish to Portuguese by Luis Hu Rivas, and now translated to English by our group. Beautiful work done by Carlos Diaz, Shane Martin, and ourselves together. And the original book in Spanish, for those who are following us, if you read Spanish, the original title is Hechos que Prueban. It is available free of charge in PDF. Just Google it, Hechos que Prueban. In Portuguese, the original version in Portuguese is Reencarnação e Vida, also in PDF. But the latest translation in a selection of only 15 cases is 15 Vidas Passadas. Today we're going to study chapter 7, which is very difficult. It's about a crime committed by a man who was psychiatrically ill, but also spiritually obsessed. It's a very difficult case to discuss, but inevitable. As Amália Domingo Soler and the spirit guide of her say right here and now, they say, it's very important to disclose this knowledge. The mysteries of life after death deserve to be studied, because live without the notion of the unknown is to live blindly, practicing crimes without remorse. It is about time that men get to know that heaven and hell exist, and they are inside of us, and that each spirit constructs the paradise or the heaven inside of their hearts. This is a very, very important notion for all of us. If people ask, but Vanessa, why are we studying this? These are dramatic cases, but these are true revelations that we need to know, especially at this time on the earth when we are going through a major transition. People need to know exactly what they are doing, so we don't incur in the same mistakes. Yes, it's vital, 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 very, very important. And you can get to know more about the case in a few. Right now, as we say, this is the 11th hour Spiritist Center. Forgive me, because I'm putting together the pages. And, you participate. I know many people don't have a Spiritist Center around the world, but in this intercontinental Spiritist Center, every day at the 11th hour, we have the opportunity of being together, studying these books and getting to know more about ourselves. Right? Thank you, Carol Correa, for being with us and checking on the app. And who we have here? Beautiful Shane Martin. We have a group at the Spiritist Society of Richmond, the capital of the state of Virginia. And there is Shane Martin and the group who is putting together. She's helping us in this beautiful project connected to the loving heart of Amália Domingo Soler. And Leo Vieira from the SSB, our brother, our friend. Welcome, welcome, dear soul. Now you're here, let us grow. Let us love, let us serve. Let us help everyone. Right, Leo? Lea Severo, our beautiful friend who has been embracing these beautiful tasks at Kardec Radio. Thank you, Leah. Thank you for being on board. Danny and Erica. Hello, Danny and Erica. Beautiful friends who are also part of Kardec Radio's team, right? We count on you, and we're looking forward to your visit here in Chantilly at the end of the month, right? Leonor Pacheco, how are you? Andrea Torres, I'm behind your messages, Andrea. Hold on, I'll catch up, but I'm with you heart to heart. Rihanna is in South Africa. Nico is in South Africa. They're friends, they're doing beautiful works, right, Rihanna? You're translating books and messages now to the local language. And if you're watching us and you want to join us in this campaign for Spiritist books to South Africa, just go to cardiacradio.com. We have an information about how you can collaborate. Send English written Spiritist books to us at Cardiac Radio, and we, after July 4th, we're gonna ship it to South Africa. Yes, to give them a boost. It's not easy to get these books all around, so we're collaborating, right? Yes. Karina, beautiful Karina, how are you? McCurfy Claire, how are you? Beautiful work with the video. Thank you. Loved it. And you're right, Leah. Happy to be together. Right, friends. Rudy. Present and awake. Stay awake. And Vanessa Shields is here from Seattle, Washington. She's also a member of Cardiac Radio who has been doing this beautiful work of broadcasting for us every Thursday. And she's also a member of the Spirit Side of Virginia, believe it or not, but it is true, right? Aline, welcome. Thank you. And you're right. We're happy to be here in this last hour of the day when we're awake, ready to learn, to heal, to know, and to work together. Right? So, welcome everyone. Here we are, and this is the single opportunity. I'm gonna share here with friends who are watching us. Hello, Alex Velasquez, how are you? Welcome. Love to be here. The physical body does too. We recharge. Some people think we're gonna, it's funny because instead of being extenuated, we gain new energy. Am I right, friends? Yes. Ready for the case? I'm playing a little bit because the case is hard. But it's no different from what we hear in the news. So we need to know. These are cases that can be quite universal. Spiritism, says Emmanuel, is the light of discernment. Humberto de Campos revisits that concept in the book Among Brothers of Other Lands. Spiritism is the light of discernment. Turn on the light. Let us check. Shall we? Okay, let us begin. Amália Domingo Soler in chapter 7 talks about the fact that she used to receive a lot of letters from people asking her to ask questions to the spirits about interesting events, sometimes even terrible and tragic. Hello, Jailton. Hello, Annie Mércia. But many people nowadays do the same. But let us listen to what she has to share with us. She says, I need to explain to my dear friends and brothers and sisters that I cannot abuse the communication of the spirits out of simple curiosity, because I need to focus on the communications that will serve to the educational purposes of her books. Pause. Do you visit and pay psychics? You may be asked, but Vanessa, I'm a spiritist. Yeah, but many people do it. You are helping them. Oh, but I just did that once. Yeah, but if you do that, you are helping people derail in the use of their own mediumship. Let others do it, but not you. But Vanessa, what about when I need help? pray. Go to your spiritist center. But do not pay somebody to tell you what you need. You're not only incurring in, problems for you, because maybe they won't tell you what you need. But also, you're opening a door for them to make a huge mistake. So do not abuse the mediums. Do not abuse people who are out there, paid or unpaid. Okay? Hello, Tia Abby. Beijo. Now, when I ask the spirits, I take their lessons, transcribe to the paper, and I publish to the Spiritist Press. My work is really productive. Many people read it, and she's saying to us, Amália Domingo Soler, and people learn with it. Other times, I have to be silent as a reply to people's requests, because the spirit guide of my works, they say that we need to be careful when playing with fire, metaphorically speaking. We need to be careful. Yes, knowing about the behind the scenes is risky. Listen to what she's gonna say now. There are spirits in which their history is so terrible, and their spiritual stature is so inferior and so degraded that they are enveloped in a very thick cloud of vibration, and their fluidic vibration so low that it produces this ill feelings, this indefinable anguish. You know, when you get close to some people and you feel nauseated and you feel like terrible. Some spirits, they produce it because their vibration, the fluids that are around them, as Kardec says, chapter 14 of the book Genesis by Allan Kardec, the deleterious fluids energies. Pause. Amália Domingo Soler is talking about law of life. You and I think continuously. As Kardec said, our thoughts, they are like hands creating thought forms in our aura, around us. And they have quality. They mingle with the spiritual vibrations and create what we call spiritual energies or fluids. And they have this interaction with us. You have a spiritual body that has pores, like the skin of our physical body, and they absorb these fluids. So if these fluids are unhealthy, you feel sick. So we need to be careful. Yes, we need to be careful. Even knowing the story. You know, when you're reading the news, be careful. Because you're connecting to the story. You're connecting to the vibratory field of that story. I'm not telling you this so you be afraid, but to empower you. Be empowered. And she says, in actuality, probably because on the earth, she says, I've experienced a lot of painful sensations in places where I saw people who were, of lower attitude in life. I felt the vibrations of those environments. I believe, she says, that the spirits of light may also feel that, impact of the ill vibrations when they are in touch with beings that are not too superior. It's not easy, friends. That's why when you're going through a tough phase in your life, don't expect that the angels are going to come like superheroes and rescue you, take the bad spirits away. You know why? Because we have attracted them. If it's like a fly, you take the trash out, but if you create some other types of trash, they come back. I believe that's what she says. Well, years ago, she said that she visited the prison in Barcelona. Listen to this, because this chapter is really spicy, my friends. Okay. She says she was visiting the prison in Barcelona, and she was led by two men. And when she saw the men who were there, she really felt the vibrations. Their expressions were so depressing, she said. Their gestures, their faces. And she asked the people who were taking her there for a visitation, she asked, are they like human beings? Because they didn't look like human. And she said, well, look at the prisoner very closely and you feel it. This is very interesting. And then they go to the kitchen of the prison, and she sees a very, short man, a little bit chubby, who is there, working with a knife. And then she just observes him. She listens to the conversation. And then she doesn't feel, as she felt so bad, so nauseated that she couldn't stay there. She had to leave. So then she asked the director of the prison, what did this man do? The man who was in the kitchen working with the knife. This is an incarnated person. Why is he here? And he says, why? Because he raped his 3 daughters. And each one of them had a child with him. So he's both father and grandfather. And he actually wanted to kill the babies. But they were saved, just in time. And he was imprisoned. And Amalia was shocked. And she says, the same happens. The same that happens with the criminals on the earth, it happens to the criminals in the spiritual realm, she says. Believe it or not. And she mentions to us here something quite interesting. I know that, she says, many people asked me questions about the spiritual realm. And the spirit guide says to her, if you were to really knew the stories of each one of them, you would suffer too much and leave it alone. So what she's disclosing to us is already to the limit of what could disclose. There's much more that the spirits don't even reveal, because it's worse. The report today is a little dramatic. I'm going to summarize. It happened in a psychiatric hospital in Mexico, and it happened in September of 1884 to a man who was sick named Ambrosio Sassamo. And the doctors said that he was in a psychiatric hospital because he used to use illicit drugs, pot in the case, and then he became compulsive and also a murderer. He was very strong, and you needed 3 men to keep him still. They say that his mother had mental problems as much as his father. And his other brother was also ill. Ambrosio was nicknamed the God of the Earth. Just picture it. And in the hospital, he was famous for his aggressiveness. He used to brutally beat himself up. And he would tear his clothes and scream, "There is nobody like me." Recently, and this is the man, Ambrosio, in a psychiatric hospital. Very violent, very aggressive. And did you pay attention to the fact that she disclosed that he used pot and developed this mental illness? It's very interesting because many people take risks when they use, even for once, illicit drugs, because they can really trigger mental illnesses that are also driven by spiritual obsessions. Well, recently, in that very hospital, another young man was just admitted. He's named Antonio Meram. And he was in the lobby of the hospital, and the other violent patient, Ambrosio, was nearby with 2 guards, and he was using the jacket to keep him still, like constricted. So the guards were called by somebody, and unnoticing, they allowed Ambrosio to be there. Ambrosio looked at this young man who was just admitted to the hospital, Antonio Meram, and he said, "Set me free." And Meram, without knowing who Ambrosio was, he untied Ambrosio and set him free. And in that split minute, Ambrosio then got his straitjacket, put on Meram, took him to his cell, closed the door, and started physically assaulting him to the death of Meram. Other patients heard and screamed, and when the guards came up, they found Ambrosio, who was the violent, mad patient, brutally killing the man who was laying down on his cell with a screw deeply pushed into the skull of Meram. Terrible. It's hard to say. Forgive me for disclosing this to you, but this is a book that came as a revelation. This is our planet Earth. This is not a history of ancient times. It's about what may be happening as we speak somewhere in this world. We still have people like this on the earth. And I know it's sad. And they held the madman Ambrosio and started interrogating him. "Did you kill the man?" He said, "Yes, sir." "Why?" "Because you tied me up. I'm tired of it all. I want to go to another hospital." "But you're here because you're sick." And Ambrosio replied, "No, I'm not." "Yes, you're mad." "No, sir, I'm not." "So you are not a bad person?" "Why are you a bad person?" And he answered, "Because you tie me up." "Well, if you were released, would you be good?" "Yes, I would." And Amália Domingo Soler, then she's like shocked about the report. She's shocked. She's like, what may have caused it? Can you imagine? You're visiting you are just admitted in a psychiatric hospital. And in a split second, you're barely admitted, and another person who is psychiatrically ill assaults you to death. Gone. It's tragic, dramatic. And she asks, like us, why? What has he done? What is the connection between these two spirits? Why? Do you have certain questions too? Pause. May we put a pause? Breathe. First, breathe. Handle your emotions. This is about emotional management here. Breathe in and out. This story is as if we're watching an educational video with respect for the lives involved, but do not get yourself emotionally tied to the story. Breathe in and out. And ask ourselves, how often your life is going this way? Suddenly, you go travel someplace else, you visit somebody, you get a new job, you meet somebody, and your life changes 180 degrees. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Why? Why did that happen? That's most important for you and I to ask and recognize and be more vigilant and be more careful. Because 1 minute, one encounter, one exchange can change our lives completely. We need to be very vigilant, right? Let me say hi to a few friends. Andrea Torres is saying that she went to a hospital a long time ago after starting for some hours in my ex-husband's house. I was out of air in that moment and I prayed to him. You're talking about the vibrations. The vibration was exactly, we need to be careful. Solange, how are you? Julija, how are you, Julija? And friends from B Spiritist Christian Spiritism, Angelita and Adilson. This case is tough but important. First, because it brings to us an awareness that you, one, do not end up anywhere just by chance. There is no chance. You don't meet anybody just by chance because it doesn't exist. And things don't happen to you out of the blue. We're magnets. Remember, thought is life. Law of the mental field, as André Luiz explains in the book Mecanismos da Mediunidade. We will attract what we emit. If we are here together, it's because we are emitting the same need to evolve together, to know more, so we are less blind, right? What do the spirit guide of Amália Domingo Soler, what did he say? You want to know? He says, Amália, you're right. Men on the earth, like spirits in the beyond, they always have another step to go up or an abyss to fall in. Progress has no limits. Time has no end. Spirits are eternal explorers. Yes, and they are tireless workers, miners of the universe, and people who explore the space of creation. Progress is not deterred. So let us get to know more information about the very cases. Okay? He says, so go back to the story. We have Ambrosio, who was the violent madman who was already in the psychiatric hospital, and Meram, Antonio Meram, who was just admitted and was brutally killed in a split second in an interaction with Ambrosio. So the spirit guide of Amália Domingos Soler says that these two men are involved with two more. So he says, 4 are the actors that performed their roles in this final scene. 3 of them are incarnated on the earth and 1 is discarnated. 3 of them incarnated and 1 discarnated. So you and I need to know about it. Yes, we need to know. We need to know. Do you think people are playing a role in your life in both realms? Yes, they are. Don't be proud, thinking, no, not me. I'm controlling myself 100%. Nobody interferes with my life. Humility. Yes, people interfere. Yes, they play a role in both realms of life. And all we can do is manage our thoughts, feelings, actions, and words, and pray. And make good decisions. In this case, people had their free will, but the old conditionings, they actually played a final act. What is it? 3 of them were incarnated and 1 discarnated. And he says, you, Amália, you have no condition to go deeply in the lives of each of these 4 men, okay? Yes, because they really, really allow themselves to be dominated by passions of all sorts. Well, in another existence not too far from today, Ambrosio, whom people nicknamed God of the Earth, was a very, very aggressive, brutal, indomitable man. He had his sexual desires, like he was almost like a sex addict, and he really raped many women, and he killed, more than a husband because of his affairs with the women, and more than one of the fathers of many of the daughters whom he raped. So not only he assaulted sexually women, but he also killed the men who were connected to their lives. And amongst these men that died in Ambrosio's hands, there was a count. And a count who dwelled with Ambrosio because he needed to save the honor of his wife and his daughter who were raped by Ambrosio. But the count was killed. And the count swore until his death that he would persecute eternally Ambrosio, the man who stole his happiness. And since Ambrosio incarnated on the earth in this life, his enemy persecutes him to date and does not set him free. Pause. Some people ask me, Vanessa, why do children suffer when they're little? Because their body is the body of a child, but the spirit is the spirit of somebody who made mistakes. But it's not fair. Well, then we need to talk to God. Because God made laws in such a way that this may happen. Ambrosio was a murderer. He reincarnates and he's in the body of a baby or a child. But he is persecuted from day one by his enemy, the Count. How many children have nightmares? How many teenagers have terrible nightmares? And you bet we all have people whom we have hurt and who possibly persecute us, either reincarnated with us or discarnated and following us. Are we giving you bad news? No, we're empowering you. It's as if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. No, I'm joking. Just to give you a little bit of a joy. Breathe in and out. I know it's too much. Huh? No more monkeys jumping on the bed. 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. No. No, 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 no. It's not about the monkeys. It's actually about the obsessors. Okay? Monkeys are cute. Obsessors, not so much. But they need love. And, you know, they're hurt. They have their feelings. They are sore in their feelings. And we need compassion. And they're like, these people are going to suffer. They're wrong. But you don't know if you were there. If you were there, done that. You want to make a test? Do you want to test if you were either an obsessor of somebody's life or if you were recently? It's easy. Ask yourself how you behave before people who hurt you in this life. How do you feel? Is it difficult to forgive and let go? Or is it easy? Do you keep like planning a plot against these people? Oh, out of defense? What do you do? Like the Count. He was hurt. And he was like, no, this man's gonna pay. We're not justifying, but we need to identify if we are the obsessors of people's lives. Because sometimes, just by bad-mouthing somebody, we become their obsessors. If every time you see somebody you talk bad about them, welcome, your badge or my badge is the badge of an obsessor. That's the new label, obsessor. Because we're persistently thinking, feeling, saying, and doing negative things towards that person. No wonder Emmanuel in the book Thought and Life says in the chapter titled Obsession that most part of obsessions happen from incarnate to incarnate. Yes, it is true. The other day somebody told me, oh, Vanessa, that person is doing work of the good. And I'm going to mention the name, okay? The Alta de Souza Spiritist Movement. You know, I think it's something different. And I say, you know, it's not. If you meet them closely, you're going to see. They study Spiritism just like us. But they have an affinity with the spirit Alta de Souza, like you may have an affinity with Chico Xavier, or Divaldo Franco, Joana de Angelis, or Emmanuel, or whatever. And they do a beautiful campaign to help people who are at risk. They study all the same books that we study. They're Spiritists. It's just that the format in which they get together is just for their collective meetings. It creates that community feeling. And they name it, big deal, Alta de Souza. It could be Chico Xavier. Do you know Alta de Souza? Phenomenal spirit. So, that is obsession. You're destroying the work of the good just because something does not fit in with your understanding. So what do we need to do? read the book, chapter 10, Thought in Life by Emmanuel, titled Understanding, and boosts our understanding. So we create less dissension and more unity. I know wonderful friends in the United States, in Brazil, and the world who participate in the Aura de Souza Fraternal Campaign. Beautiful work. They are spiritists and they study spiritism a lot. Kardec's books and all the books they practice, they are wonderful, loving people. Why do we need to put them down? Why? If you're listening to this, you don't know what I'm referring to, forgive me. But I'm just giving you an idea about when we are obsessors. This is when we become obsessors of others. They're doing some work, they're minding their lives, and we're persecuting them. We block their way. We put them aside. We isolate them. This is to be an obsessor. We try to take everything from them. It could be in a family. It could be in your work. So, hopefully, we are not the obsessors. We're not the ones sending negative vibrations. We're not the ones creating negativity for others. We're not the ones creating obstacles for others. We're bridging people. Are you a people who creates bridges? Or are you a person who creates separation, island? Are you an island person or a bridge person? Because the ones who follow Jesus Christ, they become bridge people. The ones who don't follow the Christ consciousness, don't follow the works of the good, they become island people, tribal people. If you think like them, you are with them. If you think a little bit different, they isolate you. Unfortunately, that's the case here. The Count persecuted Ambrosio from the first day he was incarnated. So, when the young Miriam came to the hospital, okay? Yes. Ambrosio was on the behind the scene pushing. The Count was on the discarnate side pushing Ambrosio, the madman, to kill Miriam. And you may be asking, why? First, this is the reason why Ambrosio says, if you set me free, I'll be good. No, I killed, but I didn't do out of anything. Because he's an obsessed person. These three spirits together, they committed series of crimes in previous lives. So even Miriam, who was killed in this life, he was not a murderer, but in previous lives, he has a bad story. He says, today, in this life, Miriam, who was killed in the hospital, apparently is innocent. But in previous lives, he wrote with blood the book of his life. The actual Count, the spirit who is discarnated, avenged both Ambrosio and Miriam. Because in previous lives, both stole his honor, fortune, and happiness. Look at this pattern. It's very common. One obsessor, two people who are not good either, but he puts one against the other, killing both. How many spirits may be against us? And the people whom we have issues, so it's like a triangle. And then we see like this never-ending animosity because we're not alone. We're not alone. You know, majority of the spirits on the earth are discarnated. They play a huge role in our lives. Kardec asked in the second part of the Spirit's book, how much do the spirits influence us? And they replied, greater than you can imagine. So if you think, oh, they influence me this way, you bet it's much more than that. To the good and to the bad. In the Medium's book, Kardec discloses to us something quite interesting. The types of spirits that actually are mingling with us. You want to know who is in your network? 4 different types of spirits. Types. It could be like 100 of them. You never know. Sometimes we go, there's one obsessed. No, maybe there are 10, 20, 30. You never know. It depends what you did. There are many good friends too. But the number one, protecting spirits, they are superior to us. That's one type, can be more than one. Family spirits, spirits who like us. They may be superior to us or inferior to us. And we may have many of them connected around us, surrounding us, influencing us. The third type, spirits of affinity. Spirits who like what we like. We like spiritism, they like too, so they are with us. How you like watching a comedy show? Some spirits like it too. They may be with us. The question is, what type of spirits are they? They may be superior or inferior. Depends on your taste for life. And the fourth, the obsessors. We only think of the obsessors, poor them. If you go to the book Sex and Destiny, which is being discussed and read every Wednesday by Mackenzie Mello and Francisca Kranz, beautiful work, you will listen to the case of an obsessor, of people who were friends, who were like spirits of affinity, family spirit, of one of the main characters of the book. It's very interesting. Now, back to the story. Back to the story. So, we talked about 3 people, right? Ambrosio, who killed Miriam, and the Count, who is discarnated. But he said, the spirit guide of Amalia Domingo Soler said that at the very beginning, there are 4 spirits in this story. 4. Where is the 4th one? The brother of Miriam. He contributed to the vengeance. He led his brother to the hospital where he would die. Yes, because he wanted the fortune of that life, so he wanted to annul the presence of his younger brother. But in a previous life, who was this brother of Miriam? He was the governor of a fortress, and he had prisoners, men and women, that were under his care due to religious purposes. And the women, okay, they were, abused by him. And he, as the governor, was the accomplice of a lot of cruelty that happened by many men in the city. And one of them, Miriam. So Miriam was one of the people who assaulted and raped women who were under the care of this governor. In this reincarnation, he received that violence and aggression against him because it's in our perispirit. Don't be afraid love instead. Are you afraid? Oh my gosh, no, 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 no. You want to change what you're vibrating? You can. You can reorganize the files of your mental field, investing in love for yourself, for others, for God. Walk the extra mile. We need to walk the extra mile. We need to push ourselves out of the comfort zone. The comfort zone just makes us attract the same old story. You don't want that, do you? No. Yes. Oh, Leo, Leo, Leo. I know, you're laughing there. I remember your dreams. I remember. But you're doing great, Leo. Keep it up. Leo, Leah is saying vigilant, creating charity, bridging, practicing, seek the good, feel the good, visualize the good, and move the good, work and serve. You're right, Leah. Thank you. Katia, how are you? So, right now, you see, if we are in the comfort zone, if we're just keeping ourselves in the comfort zone, these memories of the past are vibrating, and we're not changing. We're not changing our vibratory tone. And if we don't change, we're going to attract the repetitions, expiations. So what do we need to do? Organize the mental files with work and service, as Leia Severo is reminding us. Work. Every useful occupation. What you're doing right now, spending this last hour of the day here in this community, is already something new. No, in a previous life that didn't exist. This is new. Good job. That's, yes, a new thing. It's a new habit. We've never done that before. First time. Great. As Emmanuel says, evolution requires new habits. This 11th hour Spiritist community is a new habit. We're occupying our time usefully. If you go to bed after this, you're already in another frequency. And you may be potentially not only helping yourself, but everyone who is connected to you. And be of service to the illuminated spirits who need an intercontinental team to help in this transition in both realms. Right? Rita Di Cassia. So, let's listen from the wisdom of the mentor by Amalia. Well, he says here that unfortunately, Merim in a previous life was kind of sadistic. He liked to see others suffer. And now in this life, the Count avenged both enemies of his. It said. They wrote their own sentence of death. Yes, you may be asking, Amalia, have they written it? Yes, but not by destiny, but by the series of crimes that they committed. Ambrosio was considered a madman, but in reality he was not. He was the victim of the obsession of the spirit of the Count, who was his invisible enemy and who made him suffer too. How can science guarantee that he belonged to a family of imbalanced people? You see, many people, he's talking about genetics. Many people think, oh, my family's like this, I'm like this. This person's like this because of the family. No, it's not because of the family, it's because of their past. The past. And the past shall be in the past. One day we need to sing, let it go, let it go. The past is in the past. Unfortunately, the past is still present. And we need the new to change it. The more files you put in our computer, the more you archive old files. Science has recently proved that you can change the memories of the past in this life if you create new memories, but new memories. And that's the law of life. If we want to leave the past in the past, like Elsa from Frozen, she didn't make it living in the past because she had to face it. So are we. But we need to let go, to let God, and to allow the new. Right? Yes. And there were moments, he says here, in which Ambrosio had lucidity, and he used to say, I'm not a crazy person. I'm not crazy. I have something in my veins, and my brain is like it's going to explode. My hands is like iron, and it oppresses my throat. I feel thirsty for blood, and at the same time I want to run away, far away from here, so I can be in peace in the arms of a beloved woman. These paradox of the mind of a man who seems to be imbalanced, like psychiatrically ill, but he is spiritually obsessed. We need to treat the mind multi-dimensionally. It's about time. Emma Bragdon is doing fantastic work in the world. Yes, Emma Bragdon. She's doing fantastic work in that regard. We need to join forces with her, help her out. And the Spirit Guide says you need to be compassionate to the victims and to their invisible enemies. The victims suffer the most horrible torture. And it's very important that we study this as if we studied, he's saying, the body of a cadaver, to understand what really torments the majority of people on the earth. And in this way, it's convenient to talk about the invisible and to talk about the unknown. Don't we use a telescope to see the space and the innumerable suns? The mysteries of life after death also deserve to be studied. Because living without the notion of the unknown is to live blindly practicing crimes without remorse. It's about time that humanity knows that heaven and hell exist and they are inside of them, and each spirit has paradise and hell inside of them. So Amalia wraps up after the explanation of the Spirit Guide by saying, yes, the Spirit Guide says it's useful to lift the veil that covers the past. In reality, we suffer when we have to report such crimes, but the wounds of the body are healed. Let us apply the cauterization of the revelation of immortality on the vices, on our passions, on hatred and vengeance. She's talking about our vices as wounds, and these revelations of the law of life, the law of reincarnation, studying our instinctive tendencies, as opportunities to heal those wounds. We need to ask ourselves, am I walking the talk? Am I being Christian? Am I conscientious about the laws of life and being compliant? Because if we're not, we're still vibrating what we're going to receive. Where is it that we need to let go to let God? Where? Where? And she says, with these writings, if, she says, we can deter one person from continuing with his addictions, blessed is this time employed. One soul that wakes up and sees the light is a new sun that radiates in the universe. How beautiful is it? The moment we awake and see the sun of life, the light, we become this sun that radiates in the universe. And that's why we owe to Amalia her great efforts of disclosing this difficult information. How are you feeling now? You're feeling encouraged? That's the goal. You're feeling optimistic? That's the goal. We are not living on the earth right now because somebody made a mistake. Oh, my parents, they made a mistake when I was born. No, no, no. Above your parents, there is God, and God allowed you. Nothing is by chance. If you're here living now on the earth in this very year 2017, welcome. You need to be here. We need to be together, and we better collaborate with one another. We better stay together and be blessed. Right, Carol Correa? Be peacemakers. And this important notion that we need to observe ourselves and see where we're repeating the same old conditionings. Are you new and renewed? Thank you, Jailton. You're feeling encouraged and more vigilant on the vibrations I emit. Beautiful. And Rita DiCassi is saying we have the power of love and light. Right on, friends. Let us close our eyes and visualize a beautiful light of love that envelops also all of us. And we can see ourselves at each breath renewed. Renewed, refreshed, stronger, prepared. Visualize yourself being loving, more caring, and attracting love and care. Visualize yourself emitting fraternity and receiving fraternity. And repeat to yourself, I am loved, and I am loving. I am peace, and I am a peacemaker. I am a child of God, and so is everyone else. Breathe in and out and feel yourself emitting this light and attracting the light. Breathe in and out. Feel the protection of God and the kindness, the love. And open your eyes. And don't forget the power of affirmations. Seek the good in you. Be creative and sing Sing so you can rejoice every day. You're a child of God. So is everyone. You are a child of God. Have a beautiful night or a beautiful day. And hopefully we'll meet again in 24 hours. Okay, a little less than 24 hours. And we'll be together. A beautiful hug of gratitude to God, to Amália Domingos Soler, to you. Let's stay together.